Howdy friends. So, in my previous video, I placed every Fallout 4 companion on the alignment chart, and I had a pretty good spread for the wide variety of characters that Fallout 4 offers, at least one companion for every alignment. Now I've done New Vegas, and I've realized that New Vegas has a very different approach to companions. See, these companions start with more of a blank slate, and can be persuaded in different directions depending on how you do their quests. And I think that makes a lot of sense considering the climate of New Vegas. The Mojave we see in New Vegas has been going through a lot of dramatic changes in a relatively short amount of time. People have obviously lived here for centuries, but the New Vegas we see in the game is actually only a few years old. See, it was established when Mr. House recruited the 3 casino families. The NCR only recently arrived to the Mojave, and Caesar's Legion only recently fought the first Battle of Hoover Dam and kind of made their presence known. My point is that New Vegas has gone through a lot of fresh changes in recent years, and it makes sense that a lot of the characters, especially the companions you see, are less sure of what they want and who they support, which makes sense for a companion. After all, who'd be willing to just drop everything and go with a stranger unless they had nothing else better going on? No offense, guys. And in case you aren't familiar with the alignment chart, the chart shown here is used to establish a character's ethics and moral perspective. Characters at the top are selfless and spread good to other people. Characters at the bottom are selfish and spread bad to other people. Characters on the left are principled, with a set of predetermined rules that they will not break, while characters on the right are unprincipled and act without a greater purpose or any set of rules in mind. I'd also like to note that I'm going to be placing these characters based on concepts like good and evil, so it goes without saying that this is very subjective. Like, literally the most subjective way to rank anything. So, let's begin. Arcade Ganon. Arcade Ganon is Fallout companions at their best. If this were a companion tier list, he would be right at the top next to Nick Valentine. See, this altruistic genius can be found in the old Mormon fort in Freeside, where he's attempting to research new ways to create medicine based on plants naturally found in the Mojave. Even he admits, though, that it's just not very fruitful, and he can be persuaded to join the courier if you literally agree to just not be evil, or prove to be so stupid he'll join you out of sympathy. Arcade has a deep hatred for Caesar, and while he hates the rest of the Legion as well, he isn't completely unsympathetic to the fact that the majority of Legion soldiers have been brainwashed to believe that Caesar is some kind of god to be worshipped. If you spend much time with Arcade, you'll find he's one of the most compassionate characters in the Fallout universe. Even if he is sometimes a little condescending, his sarcastic quibs always come from a good place. He is neutral good, at least when you find him. He's good because all of his time and energy is spent helping the less fortunate. He's particularly sympathetic to the people of Freeside too. He's undoubtedly good, but his neutral status is less obvious. See, Arcade has criticisms of every faction in the Mojave, and his points are hard to argue with. See, he argues that everyone is out for their own best interests, and that's kind of true. Still, even if he is vocal in his criticisms of the other factions, he's a neutral character because the only faction he aligns with is the followers, and they're openly neutral in all political matters. But as you progress his story, you learn about his former association with the Enclave and can convince him to fight side by side with the NCR in the Battle of Hoover Dam. You cannot, however, convince him to fight for the Legion. So starting off, Arcade is neutral good, but can become lawful good if you convince him to fight against Caesar's Legion. Boone. Is it just me, or does Fallout New Vegas give us some of the most heart-wrenching characters? I won't include Boone's full story here, but he has a past haunting him. His time in the NCR required him to do some horrible things he now regrets, and his time in the Mojave afterwards hasn't been much kinder. And I feel bad for him because how do you not blame yourself when you're forced to hurt people twice? All he can do to keep his demons at bay is to stand watch in the town of Novak from atop the dinosaur head. When you meet Boone, he is a chaotic good companion. He does his job every day to protect the people of Novak, but he doesn't much care for them. He's chaotic good because Boone believes in protecting the innocent. That's why he sits in the sniper tower every day. But he's chaotic because he does have his own purpose when you meet him. He's trying to find the one responsible for selling his wife to the Legion. He doesn't trust the world or the people around him. He just sits in the sniper tower and watches the horizon. His time in the military got him involved in the massacre of Bitter Springs, where NCR soldiers accidentally fired on non-combatants belonging to the Great Khans, some of which were elderly or children. He also had his wife taken by the Legion. I won't spoil that whole story here, but it did end with her death, and a scar that will haunt Boone for the rest of his life. Boone believes he's going to pay for his crime someday, that fate is going to catch up to him, and that he deserves to die. He just doesn't know when fate will take him. But if you complete his story, you can help him come to terms with his past, help him take revenge on the person responsible for his wife's capture, and take him to the same place in Bitter Springs where he committed one of his worst crimes, and help him overcome the past he can't get away from. When you do, Boone becomes a neutral good character. He doesn't gain a greater purpose or objective to strive for, he just becomes less jaded and tries to use his skills to fight the Legion, not as a soldier, but as a guard in that small town of Novak. Rose of Sharon Cassidy. Poor Cass, you can find this woman at the Mojave Outpost Barracks.
Piper, what are you doing? You know I'm trying to make a video. Why are you picking this time right now to start singing? You hear me talking and you want to talk too? You're just a good girl.
Rose of Sharon Cassidy. Poor Cass, you can find this woman at the Mojave Outpost Barracks at the crossroads of the Mojave and California, as well as at the crossroads in her own life. She recently lost her caravan to an unknown attacker, and with it, her family business is done. When you find her at the outpost, she's sitting at the bar, 2 or 3 bottles of whiskey in, hoping to forget about all of her troubles. Like many companions before, when you find her, she's true neutral. She's not a good person, she's not a bad person. She's true neutral because she has no purpose. She can't go north because the NCR has the roads closed, she can't go home because her caravan business is over, and she has nothing left in the world. She doesn't care for the NCR, Caesar's Legion, or any faction at all. She doesn't even have a purpose for herself. She just sits and drinks and waits. But if you take her along as a companion, you can learn more about her caravan business, and eventually you can learn how her caravan got attacked. See, Cass originally thinks it was some mindless raiders that attacked the caravan. If not, it might have been Caesar's Legion, because whoever did it destroyed all the cargo and didn't take a thing. As you take her on this journey, you can uncover the truth behind the attack and discover that she has been betrayed by a competitor. Once you do this, Cass has a new purpose and becomes a chaotic neutral character, motivated by revenge against those who wronged her caravan. By now, I'm sure you've noticed most of these characters have a neutral leaning, while our robot companion Eddie is no exception. This battle-trumpeting iBot is true neutral. He has a complicated backstory involving the data of his modules, but ultimately he is true neutral through and through. He's a robot after all. He doesn't care what you do or how you do it. He just follows his programming. So whether you're helping the Fiends steal their next shipment of jet, or helping the followers of the Apocalypse distribute medicine to those in need, Eddie is indifferent. Lily Bowen. Lily is a Nightkin super mutant that can be found in Jacobstown, with many others of her kind. As a Nightkin, she's addicted to stealth boys, and the side effect of this addiction is schizophrenia, which Lily suffers heavily from. She has to take medicine daily to keep her Leo away, which is her less friendly alternative personality. Despite her rough appearance and crippling addiction, Lily is a neutral good companion. She's neutral because her only focus is dealing with her addiction. See, she doesn't much care about any of the other factions like NCR or Legion. Her only care is getting herself better. She's good though because this Nightkin sees herself as a kindly grandmother and genuinely tries to help all of those around her. She spends her time talking about her grandchildren and says kind things to anyone who passes her. Most of her quests result in her remaining a neutral good character, with one exception. See, if you convince Lily to stop taking her medication completely, over time she will be driven mad by her condition, and as the Inslide puts it, become little more than a ravening beast. This would drive her to a neutral evil character, but you would never do this to good old Lily, so it doesn't matter. Raul Tejada. I'm just kidding. Raul Tejada is a lowly ghoul, unfortunate enough to have been captured by the super mutants of Black Mountain. He was kept alive because of his skill in repairing things, specifically the radio equipment used on the mountain. After you rescue him, he'll return to his lowly hut and just kind of hang around looking for a purpose. See, Raul has a past. He lived long before the bombs fell and has quite the backstory as a heroic lawbringer, but those times have passed and his age and condition have caught up to him. He doesn't have the strength or speed of his youth, and he is struggling to know if someone like himself can even have purpose. Raul is neutral good when you first meet him. He's good because he's genuinely a nice guy, and he would be glad to do some good in the world if he just had the ability. He's neutral because he sees himself as a broken down old ghoul, whose usefulness left with his youth. But as he travels with you, you can introduce him to people throughout the Mojave who challenge Raul's view on age. These are older men and women who, despite their age, still contribute to society and are respected among their peers because of their wisdom and life experience. Raul soon realizes that being old doesn't make him useless. Even if he isn't as quick or as strong as he was in his youth, he can still bring value to the world. Depending on your conversation with him, you can motivate Raul to stay neutral good or to become lawful good and take up arms against those who would prey on the weak, and he does it with a cool sombrero. Rex. Rex is a cybernetic dog that was born before the war as a police dog in Denver, Colorado. After the bombs fell, he eventually found himself as a warhound for Caesar's Legion before finally ending up in the service of the king. As you might have guessed, Rex is true neutral. I mean, he's a dog. He doesn't much care whose side he's on as long as he's being fed. He served under the kings, Caesar's Legion, pre-war police, and who knows who else in the 209 years he's been alive. Anyone with that big of a resume has to be open-minded. Veronica. Of all the companions in Fallout New Vegas, I've always felt the most for Veronica. She's a born and raised member of the Brotherhood of Steel, and she cares about her friends and family, but she struggles because she's watching her chapter of the Brotherhood fade away. They're reduced to hiding in bunkers while the world above outpaces them. She believes the Brotherhood of Steel needs to adapt and improve, and for that, they ostracize her. At first, it was tempting to put Veronica in lawful neutral because of her association with the Brotherhood of Steel, which is a lawful neutral faction. However, that doesn't seem right for her. She does what she can to help her family, but that doesn't mean she agrees with them. She wants them to be more open with the rest of the world and to give up on their goals of hoarding technology. Veronica is neutral good. That's right, another one. She's neutral because, despite her associations with the Brotherhood, she cares about the people, not the Brotherhood's mission. She can be convinced to leave the Brotherhood for good and go join the followers of the Apocalypse. She's good because she wants to help people. Her first choice when leaving the Brotherhood is to join the followers, where she can use her knowledge of technology to help them in their good cause. Her alignment doesn't change either. She stays as a neutral good character because that's who she is. And that's the full roster for Fallout New Vegas. As you likely noticed, nearly everyone in this game's of a neutral nature. It seems Bethesda, or actually Obsidian, wanted the companions to be stuck somewhere in their life, unsure of what their next step should be, so that the player could come at just the right time and be the hero they needed. It definitely gave us some of the most heartfelt stories of the Fallout series. As I said before, all of these placements are completely subjective to my idea of good and evil. In my Fallout 4 companion alignment chart, a lot of people commented with how they would have placed different characters in different places. I've no doubt viewers will do the same for this video. So have at it in the comments, but just remember, these characters have been through a lot, so please be nice to them. And don't forget to check out my novel, available in the description below. It's on Amazon, and yes, I wrote it and had it professionally edited for your reading pleasure. It's not a post-apocalyptic story like Fallout is, but it is a fictional thriller about a group of hunters in a Stone Age society being hunted by a terrifying monster. Check it out. Seriously though, Boone, my guy, if you ever need to talk or anything, I'm here for you, buddy.